Welcome to Propert-T Talk with your host, Montsho. In this podcast, we will be unraveling everything related to property. We are here to give you some hot tea on property as we will be interviewing upcoming and established individuals in this field. Let's jump straight into the content. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am great. All right. So to our listeners, today we have an honor to have Thembisa Winston Kunene on our platform to unpack an interesting topic with us. We'll be unpacking on real estate agency. But before we jump into that, I'd like for our guest to introduce himself. Thembisa, please tell us about yourself and the inspiration behind becoming a real estate agent.
Hey guys, like she said, my name is Thembisa Winston Kunene. Thank you for having me on your show, Masego. It's lovely. What an honor. I'm the group executive and founder of Libertalia Group, and we specialize in real estate and finance. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's who I am. I've been in the industry for 5 years now. Started from the bottom as an intern and worked my way up. We're running a team now of 20 agents with my business partner, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. Mm-hmm. But yeah, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, like you said, you are the CEO of Libertalia, right? Tell us more about it and how it became to be, like what it is today, the challenges you have went through as the executive and all of that.
Okay. So Libertalia is actually quite an interesting manifestation that has happened over the years since it started. So I'd just like to tell you what Libertalia means.
Yes,
so liberi is Latin. It means free. Mm-hmm. So Libertalia was sort of the combination of the whole, the words and everything. So basically, this is a purpose. Like it's not a myth, but it's just one of those literature stories, in history where there was a guy called Myson who was a pirate. Mm-hmm. And he was a free colony, so he was very, very into that, and he came into Madagascar. He took all the treasures and the land from like religious institutions, from like the nobility and the riches, Mm-hmm. So his whole mission was to take all the riches and distribute them equally to the peasants. Mm-hmm. Back in the days, they had peasantry and all of those things. Mm-hmm. So he did it very successfully. So our name, the Libertalia, resonates with that story because that's who we are and that's what we do, and the kind of services that we offer are related to the story. We want everyone to have property ownership. We want everyone to have land ownership, to have the same equal opportunities, regardless of your ethnicity, your color, your race, background, gender, so we're all for equality. And yeah, that's how the name came about. And that's been our mission. If you look at our mission statement as a company, we aim to transform the African economy, by providing a wealth of services to the driven, those who are driven by change, opportunities, and so forth. So that's our mission statement, and our vision really is to become the leading real estate and finance industry in the African continent. So yeah, that's who we are, and that's what Libertalia is all about. It's property sales. I think to answer more of what services we offer, I'm guessing that's what the question was. Yeah, so we do property sales, property valuations, property management. We specialize in finance as well. We assist buyers with home loans. Okay. We assist sellers with refinancing. We've got a whole partnership with bond originators such as Uber. In fact, we are partnered with Keller Williams. We're an associate of Keller Williams, which is a number one recognized agency by word count. So we are associated with them as well. So we've got quite a lot of partnerships in place that assist us in, sourcing home finance for people and so forth.
All right.
And then that's what we do. That's who
I
we are.
think that's so inspirational. The fact that you guys managed to build such a successful company in such a short period of time, and like your association and partners basically just also like boosts your company, you know. So congratulations on that. It's amazing to see a young Black man doing exceptionally well in this industry. I'm personally proud of you. All right. Yeah, so like you said, you guys basically deal with buyers and sellers, right? And you guys are the middle person in between them. And I understand that there are different processes the two parties go through. So for instance, the process that a seller goes through is different from the process that a buyer goes through. So I want us to start off with the sellers. Like, can you walk us through the step-by-step process that they go through from firstly advertising their house to actually sealing the deal and handing it over to the buyer?
Yes. Okay. So the nice thing about us, most of the sellers is they've bought the house before. So obviously they might have bought the property from an agent. So they might have the contact details. They could always reach out to the agent, especially if they were happy with the service. But for those who and obviously not happy with the previous service, or who would like to try out new agents, or who even forgot or changed numbers because it's been over 20 years, for example, living in the property and you've lost all your old numbers. You don't remember who sold you the house. You don't remember the agent. So that's for those sellers starting from scratch. The best thing to do is to Google top agents. So how do you recognize a good agent or an experienced agent? Is you just simply go into the EAAB website. So that's the regulator, right, for the real estate industry. EAB stands for Estate Agency Affairs Board. So when you go into the portals, you'll be able to search for all the real estate registered agents in the country. By agent count, last time I checked, there were 50,000 registered estate agents in the country. So which is I think it's a small number, compared to the population. We've got about 68 million people in the country, and we've got about 50% of that houses people, which is like 30 million of houses we have, you know. So you look at that and you look at 50,000 agents. Actually, we're sitting on a gold mine as estate agents because the competition is very, very minimal. But anyways, that's not the point. So the sellers would go into the website and they would look for a very reputable estate agent, either from, it's quite simple to do that. You search their name. You first Google them if they appear on social media or appear on a good reputable website. Or you go into Propert-T 24 or private property, which is where everyone lists properties to advertise, and you just go through a list of agencies and agents that you can search on the EAB just to find out if they are legit, they are licensed to sell, and they've been in the industry for over a year. Because essentially it takes about a year for you to be completely experienced, knowing every process from selling, you know, etc. So you need to work with an estate agent like that if you're a seller. So that's the first thing. It's verification. And then the second step I would suggest is for the seller to make sure that they are informed before they give out any mandate, whether it's an open mandate, multi-listing mandate, or sole mandate. They need to establish the communication at that very first meeting that they meet the agent. So I expect feedback from you weekly, every Friday, every Monday, whatever day. Feedback in terms of how the sale of my property is going, are the sales, what are the strategies. I would like to be part of the process and not just sit and hope and assume that someone's going to sell my house, because that's a big mistake that a lot of the sellers experience. Is they just assume that the agent is doing their job, whereas the agent hasn't done anything for the past 3 months. They're just comfortable. They haven't received any, because they don't have the experience of sourcing lead generation, of sourcing clients and showing specific clients to purchase the property. So you do get that quite often. So that's very, very, very important for a seller to just establish that communication. And
before you move on, sorry to disturb you. You spoke about open mandates, closed mandate. Unpack that for us. What does that mean?
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, I get used to the language. I apologize.
It's okay.
Colloquialism. Okay. So open mandate means, so see it as an open listing. So it's open to every estate agent. So
Okay.
if you give them an authority to sell, PDF, and they sign that, it just basically means that they're allowed to sell it, but it's not limiting the sellers to go and find other estate agents, because you do want to expose as many professional. There's pros and cons to all of it. So you do, on an open listing, it's important to expose your property through maybe 4 or 5 different estate agents, because each estate agent has a source of lead, which might expose your property to those leads, and your chances of selling the property might be higher there. That would be the con, but the pro of that would be, if there's 5 estate agents advertising one house, you're just going to get the buyers playing around with all of them, inquiring from each estate agent, and then trying to get the best price from the property. So then they would negotiate. So then they have the negotiation power, because they'll go to the estate agents that is willing to compromise their commission, to beat all the other estate agents. And then next thing, as a seller, you're getting an offer which is lower than what you expected because of that. So there's pros and cons to it. But yeah, it's rare, it's situational. It's really it's based on the market condition as well. And then you have a sole mandate. Sole mandate basically means that only one estate agent is allowed to sell my property. Okay. You sign that as a seller, and you give the estate agents maybe 3 months to prove themselves to sell the house. And if they don't achieve that within 3 months, then the sole mandate would expire, and you would just give the opportunity to a different estate agent.
Okay.
So and then the third one, which I mentioned earlier, is the multi-listing mandate. So that's basically a group of agents that work together in residential network systems, or in like other residential network systems, where the estate agents are all registered under that system, and they share properties together, and they share leads together.
Okay.
So so it's very different to an open listing in terms of having 5 estate agents going in, but they're going in competitively.
Yeah, they're working together anyway.
Yes, whereas a multi-listing, we're working together.
Okay. I think that's very interesting. That's a topic on its own, actually. Because thinking about it already, I can kind of pick up the pros and cons of each, and just how it works, But I think we'll talk about that some of the time. But all right, cool. Then the other step from listing.
The third step would be to just keep yourself informed as a seller. Don't trust. It's okay to trust an estate agent, but also try and add a little bit of input into the whole process. Because selling a house is a long process. It's literally a tedious, long process, because you have to find someone to do the viewing. If they don't like the house, you have to find more people to do viewings. So it's an up and down, cleaning the house, expecting visitors every now and then, hoping and expecting someone to actually put in an offer. So it's quite a tedious process in terms of that. So it's very important for the seller to educate themselves while that process is taking place. Whether you're getting advice from the estate agents during those feedback meetings. Okay, so how does this work? Why would you go about it this way? Be invested in the conversation and in the process, because that can give you a clearer picture of trajectory. So it will give you a clear picture as a seller, because the reason why I mentioned this is because in favor of estate agents is an estate agent will come and say, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, we need to renovate your house so that we're able to sell it a lot quicker. If you come with that approach as an estate agent, you usually get a no. Like 80% of the time, the seller will say, no, I don't have those funds. Let's just put it on the market and sell it. If you can't do that, I'll just take the property I'll just give the opportunity to another estate agent. That's usually the sellers have that thick skin. So it's important for a seller to actually invest and involve themselves in the process to understand the importance of an estate agent's advice. So when an estate agent says, let's renovate your house because 10 properties are around the same area, look very clean, they've renovated, they've maintained the gardens and everything. And out of the 10 properties there are 3 that are going for sale. And out of the 3, there's 2 properties that look very similar in condition, in maintenance, in all of that. Your property, however, looks it needs a little bit of work. So if we're comparing the 3 properties and we haven't done much really in terms of inquiries and viewings and leads, it's most likely because all the leads are going to those other 2 properties.
Yeah.
So that's very crucial. That's crucial information that we usually give sellers, and it's very difficult for them to understand it. So it's very important for them to actually invest in the process so that they understand what they need to do to get the house sold.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then I think that would be the 4th step. Well, the fourth, 5th step would be for the sellers to, if they want the property sold a lot quicker. So now let's say they've already received an offer to purchase, right? Someone has offered to buy the property, and we're now in the process of, we need to get COCs done. So a COC is a certificate of compliance, electrical compliance certificates, okay? We need to get plumbing done. We need to get all of these things fixed, or whatever it is that they need to do to get the property sold. Or if they're in a complex, we need to pay for the levies and rates clearance certificates. If it's still bonded, we need to pay or notify the bank for the bond cancellation figures. So that's a lot. That sort of stuff. Yeah, it seems like it's a lot. I mean, it's a 3 months process, so that that's essentially, selling a house is not like selling a car. You don't just buy it and take it off the dealership immediately. So it's a whole legal process. So it's very important for the sellers to, if they want their property sold on time, they need to get the compliance and those things in place as quick as possible. Because the more an attorney waits for a clearance certificate, COC, and all these other requirements, the further it will take, or the longer it will take for the property to register. So those are some of the tricks that you could always use to try and get your property registered within 2 months instead of 3 months, if that makes sense.
That's a long process. I didn't even know about that, like the waiting period, especially. I think when I think about it, I'm thinking, no, I'm just going to advertise my house, get a real estate agent who's going to post it and try and find people that are coming to buy, and then just sign. Somebody wants to buy, and then that's it. So now to be educated about the process is actually very interesting, but also very tedious. But I think it's better, like you said, for them to educate themselves is always better, because you can kind of anticipate things not going well, and you can kind of make room for disappointment in a way, maybe the process taking longer and whatever, so all right, interesting. And on the buyer side, what process do they go through in basically viewing a house and finally making it their own home?
Okay, so for buyers, for buyers actually a lot simpler, and it's a lot simpler because for them really is to view. Actually, in fact, they would do the same. They would do the total opposite. So they wouldn't need to find an estate agent, a reputable estate agent. Well, it's an advantage. It's an advantage to find one as a buyer, but they're not looking for buyers. They're looking for houses, right? So they're looking for beautiful homes. They're looking for a specific type of home. So they're already on Propert-T. They're already doing their research. They're already looking at the area. They're Googling the area, the amenities of the area. So they've done quite a bit in terms of finding real estate agents, which you don't have to do that. But once you have found a property that you like and you want to view, you first need to calculate all the costs associated with buying a property. So you'll see on the purchase price on Propert-T private property that the house is going for R1 million, and you automatically assume that that's how much I have and that's how much I'm going to spend. But it goes beyond that. There's transfer costs. The transfer costs. Okay, let me explain what transfer costs are. So only registered attorneys, conveyancing attorneys, are allowed to register a property from one name to another. So you can't go directly to a seller and say, I want to buy a property. It's going to be in my name. You must give me the documents. It doesn't work like that.
No, yeah,
so, yeah. So the attorneys would have to process the whole, getting your FICA documents, uploading it to get a title deed registered in your name. So they would have to go to the deeds office. They would have to file. There's that sort of stuff. That's an attorney's job though. So with that being said, if you're hiring a different professional, so they will charge you, and that's called the transfer cost. Okay. And then you've got bond costs as well. If you're not buying the property cash and you're buying it, using the bank's money, so that's called a bond. There's also bond attorneys that needs to be associated with that. So it's the very, very same process. The bank needs to get a title deed from the seller into your name as the buyer acquiring for the property. So that will require a bond attorney to do that as well from the bank side. So that's another additional cost that comes together. So that's when we say buyers need to prepare for transfer and bond costs, we're talking about that.
Okay.
So you need to also calculate the costs for, moving. That's costly.
Yeah.
Moving, furniture removal costs. You need to add that into your budget. You need to add costs for, it depends if you are buying. So if you buy a property over R1 million, you need to pay transfer duties. So that's basically tax.
Okay.
So it's like, you have to pay tax for if you're buying a property below R1 million, then you're exempt from paying tax.
Okay.
So that's just something else that buyers would need to consider when doing their calculations. And that's for the most part, it's just the mathematical side of it, just calculations, finances. And so now you've seen the house, you've prepared for your costs. Now you need to do a pre-approval. Okay. I've seen all these costs now.
Before you move on to the pre-approval, I want to know if the transfer costs are standard prices, or does it fluctuate based on, let's say, if you're buying a property in Midrand compared to a property in Soweto? Like what are the factors that affect your transfer costs and bond costs and all of that?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So surprisingly, area does not matter in this instance. Okay. You can buy a property in Soweto, you can buy a property in Midrand, it doesn't matter. What matters is the attorney that you're using. Okay. They will charge their fee, right? So the reason why it's important to also establish a relationship with an attorney is you can always ask for discounts because it's negotiable. You can negotiate on your discounts. So they'll say to you, these are the transfer costs. Let's say, for example, 17,000 Rand. You can ask for a 50% discount on their actual labor cost, which is about 4,000 Rand, for example. So they'll give you like 4,000 Rand off. And it's just an example. It's working with different attorneys. Okay. So the attorneys charge their own rate. But in terms of the standard market related costing, so the pricing of bond and transfer costs, how it would work is you try and work it out on between 8 to 1% of the purchase price. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying between 8 and 10% is because of the different attorneys that would charge according to that standard. But we also have tools like Propert-T and Private Property, or on our website, for instance. If you've gone to our website, you'll see there's a calculator there. You just put in the purchase price, it will automatically calculate how much bond and transfer costs would cost for that price. Right. So that's another way of going about it.
All right, interesting. You can continue with I think you were talking about pre-approvals.
Pre-approvals, yes. Yeah. So once you've gotten the costs ready, you've jotted down everything, make sure that you pre-approve yourself. You don't want to disappoint yourself, going and wasting money on petrol, airtime, stress, all of it, everything associated with doing viewings, because that's also another tedious process. You have to drive to the place, view the place. It's time consuming, it's money consuming. So you need to pre-approve yourself to mitigate that risk of not knowing what the outcome might be. So reach out to a bond originator, say to them, hey, I would like to pre-approve. I'm interested in buying a house. I don't know how much I qualify for. I'm looking for the best interest rate. Get a bond originator to pre-approve it. Free of charge. We do it as well. It's free of charge. You just submit your documents. They'll ask for your FICA documents, so your copy of IDs and pay slips and all of that.
Okay.
They'll put it on the system and see how much you qualify for. So if you qualify for R1 million, then you can start shopping around. Okay, cool. The bank might give me R1 million based on my pre-qualification. So I'm able to now I can do the viewings, because I know for sure if I find a house that I love, I'm ready to put in the offer because I know I'm already pre-approved. So that's another way, that's another step I would give. And then I think closer towards registration, which would be the last step for the buyers, is closer towards registration. Make sure that you've saved up. So now you know your calculations, you know that you need to pay for bond and transfer costs. You've already budgeted for that. That's perfect. Make sure that you pay on time so that the property registers on time. It registers quicker. And also make sure that wherever you're staying currently, so if you're renting or you've got another property somewhere, make sure that you align the timing between the property registering, for example, in November, and you placing a notice for if you are renting in a place. Make sure that you put in a notice to say that you're moving out at the end of November, because you're going to be moving into the new property towards the 30th or the 1st of December. So make sure that your timing is perfect in that planning. Obviously, you can also mitigate that risk. Should you find yourself not moving in on time because the property hasn't registered yet, and you've already given notice and the landlords are not happy and they've already found a replacement, you can always pay for occupational rent to the property that you're still waiting for registration. So you're basically moving in as a tenant into the new property for the few days before registration.
All right.
So All
right. Interesting. I've heard a lot of people talking about OTP, which is the offer to purchase. Where does that fall in the process of, I think that's the buyer's side, maybe?
Yeah, both, actually, on all sides. So real estate has stakeholders, right? It's the sellers, the buyers, estate agents, the bank, which falls under bond origination, and attorneys. Okay. So the OTP needs to go to all 5 parties. So if you're asking where does the process start, it starts from the buyer. So it starts from the buyer saying, I'm interested in the house. I'm going to put in all my details on the offer to purchase, my FICA documents attached to it. I'm already pre-approved and I'm waiting for a suspensive condition to be met. So that's the buyer's side, right? Okay. So you sign there, and then it's the agent. Obviously so the agent works hand in hand with everyone. Okay, yes. So the agent will work with the buyer. So we sign the offer to purchase. And then now we need to go to the seller. That's your second stakeholder. The seller needs to sign the offer to purchase as to accept, the offer. So the OTP is still playing a role. Your third step would be, so you've gotten the seller accepting the offer. Your third step is to send the offer to bond originators to make sure that the banks will give money accordingly. So the bank will get the offer as well, the offer to purchase received. And then your fourth party would be the attorney. The attorneys need to see that offer to purchase to process the deal as well. So that's another step that would fall under the offer to purchase. And then your fifth step, which is the estate agent, which is part of all the steps. Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's a lengthy process. It's so lengthy. It is. But we're dealing with people's largest assets. Yeah. So it can't be easy. It shouldn't be easy, in fact. It's people's lives, it's people's generational wealth or retirement or, you know, security. So it has to be a tedious process.
Yeah. So basically, like you said, throughout the entire process, the real estate agent is the main person that is the driver, you know, between all parties. And what are the common mistakes you have realized buyers and sellers make without this process?
Okay. I've seen a lot. You've got impulsive buyers. So the same way you feel like today you feel like McDonald's. You don't care. You don't want to cook. You just want McDonald's. You'll just go and buy McDonald's, right? Even though on your budget, you've already bought food. So you've got a budget that you need to pay rent, to pay for your car, your mortgage. You need to pay for all of these things. And you've already paid for your groceries and food, so you don't need McDonald's. That's just a luxury. So I feel that some of the first-time buyers make those common mistakes where they see a house, they don't pre-qualify, they don't check their costs and calculate how much it will cost them to buy the property. They don't look for the right estate agents to work with. They just see a dream home and immediately, I don't know, it's very psychological. They'll immediately say, this is my dream home. I'm buying this house tomorrow. And then they go and they put in the offer. So, I mean, it's them. I've realized those mistakes because I would, as me as well, starting 5 years back, I would accept an offer immediately. Also, which is a rookie mistake from my side. I will accept an offer because I'm also excited. I'm about to get commission because this person is excited and they're ready to buy a house. We put in the offer, we get it accepted by the seller, and then by the time we submit it to the bank says, "Oh no, you've got a judgment. Oh no, you've missed a few payments there. Oh no, your affordability cannot afford this house." You've got all these opposition factors, and then the deal falls through. And then at that point, you're disappointed. You have a low self-esteem now. You don't want to buy a house anymore. You're angry at the whole world. So those are some of the mistakes that a lot of the buyers are making. First-time buyers especially is not doing research on their homework and talking to a professional. It happens. It's very, very common. So it's very important to speak to a registered estate agent that knows what they're doing. And for sellers as well, it's quite a common mistake that I see a lot, especially recently. They get a job, a promotion, and it's a 2-year promotion, for example, regardless of the timeline. And they've got kids that are in school, so they take the job, which is perfect. We all like new opportunities. I mean, it's part of life. So they take the job, they change their entire life, kids moving in, they do everything. And then what they do is, so this is very situational. I'm going to explain 2 scenarios. It's either they leave the house that they stayed in behind as sellers, right? So they leave the house behind, they move to the job, they move everything, they move their life, and then they leave the old property behind. And they leave the property to random estate agents. They don't do their homework. They don't, they just assume that, I'll get an estate agent that will take care of that house. Or I'll do this thing myself. Let me just worry about this right now and then move and then not worry about my property. So the mistake there is you need to worry. The first priority is worrying about your property before you even accept that offer for the job of promotion. And the reason why that is so important is because if you can find an estate agent to rent your house out or to sell your house, you're already prepared and you've already placed a notice to the bank that you're going to cancel your bond because you're going to sell your house. Those are the things that have become costly in future. Should sellers not look out for those things, or you don't look out for a reputable estate agent. And then by the time you've left for the new job, you're living in a new area, you left an estate agent who doesn't do necessary credit checks on the clients, who doesn't do affordability checks, squad checks, by the time there's a new tenant that moves in, they come in, they damage the house, they don't pay rent on time, and then now you're affected, your credit score is affected. So
your
those
property is also
are
affected.
Yeah, exactly. Because you never worried about it. You just assume that things will fall into place. So there's some of the mistakes that sellers make when selling or leasing out their home. Sometimes you move out, you get an estate agent to come in, you haven't vetted the estate agent, then your house becomes vacant for 6 to 8 months. It hasn't been sold, and you've been paying bond for the past 8 months. A bond because you haven't taken accountability, So those are some of the mistakes.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it is like all these mistakes really do emphasize on the importance of educating yourself before you start to sell, before you buy and all of that. Exactly. But yeah, so I want us to touch base on the pandemic, our new normal. How did it affect your company? And in terms of demand of people selling, people buying, how did COVID affect you guys?
Initially, it was scary. We have bills to pay, like company costs. So it was quite scary, especially during the level 5.
Yeah, level 5.
So how we're supposed to make money, and you've got costs. So, I mean, I'm a very positive person. I'm very optimistic. Even in the most dire situation, I've grasped that mindset of positivity. But I must be honest with you, when the pandemic happened, I was sick worried. I started looking for other opportunities, low-key looking for other opportunities, because I was quite worried that we were not going to survive. I guess with every industry that you're in, everyone was worried. Restaurants, real estate, you name it. So, but we have survival instinct as human beings, and that's what we're all blessed with. And I think as time progressed, the pandemic actually became an opportunity for us to grow and to be creative in our ideas and operations. So we found new ways to lead generate, because as much as, yes, the pandemic affected buyers and sellers as well, it also created opportunities for the estate agents. There were sellers who were looking to downgrade to save money, so they had to sell. So those are leads for us. There are sellers who wanted to buy properties, investment properties, because the repo rate had dropped, because the economy is trying to regulate. So we have the opportunity now to find other properties that were available. So opportunities just came left, right, and center, from whether people were taking advantage or people were disadvantaged. It became opportunities for us. And even then, when we started thinking creatively, we realized that there was so much stock available and there was so much buyers available. So we now needed to design a course, so a tutorial course, to actually, which is more of a human resource structure. We're to design courses so that we're able to hire more agents to sell, because we couldn't handle the lead generation from all the advantages and disadvantages, from the economic side of things. So we had the opportunity to design a real estate course, which we would distribute publicly to offer people the opportunity to join the industry through the course, and create those opportunities for them. And that's something that we would have never came up with or thought of had we not been in those dire situations, So it's a fight or flight mode. It's either you quit, you find a job somewhere, or you find other means of survival, or you really, really come out of your comfort zone and you do something about it and you make something out of it and you create other job opportunities for others, because we brought in like 20 agents from the pandemic.
Ooh, that's amazing.
And they're all selling, they're all doing well. Those are 20 lives that were changed completely, for the better, considering the situation that we're in. So I think I'd say the pandemic was more of a and I don't want our viewers to see this in a very bogus, egotistical way or whatever. But it was really, really a blessing at the end of the day for us to grow as a business, as a company, and to contribute towards the economy.
That's amazing. Because I'm thinking basically real estate agents rely on commission. So if you are finding it difficult to sell houses, you have no money coming in on your side.
Yeah.
But, the fact that you guys managed to find opportunities within the dire situations, it's just amazing. And when you know that it's true within you and it's aligned with your purpose, you can find ways to survive even in difficult situations. I mean, you basically changed 20 lives throughout, where people are stressed about, oh my God, I'm losing my job. Where am I going to get money? But your company and your values basically managed to overcome all those challenges that you guys are faced with. That is so inspirational. Oh my God. But yeah. So like you said that you started off as an intern, all right?
Yeah.
Many people don't dream about becoming property investors or owning a real estate agent. And what were your assumptions about property before you started? And were they proven to be correct ever since it's been 5 years now where you've been running strong. So have your assumptions been proven correct or incorrect?
Yeah. It's situational, but I think, yes, I get your question. It's very balanced. So there were assumptions. You know what? I had no experience, no knowledge whatsoever. So I was always that guy that assumed that a mortgage is an asset, irregardless, and renting, being just a relationship between a landlord and a tenant is just part of life. You have to, you just have to live in a house. So it's an obligation. You have to pay. I never really knew the processes. I never really anticipated the amount of growth, personal growth. I thought it would have been very difficult, and considering like what you've said now, it's a commission-based industry. So if you don't sell a house, you're not going to make money in the next 3 months. So I had my fears around that. Like, am I even capable of selling a house? I'm at my age, I look so young. Even today, I'm still young, but I'm going to be dealing with people with 40 years of work experience, who expect professional service, who expect all of these things for me to sell their house. But when they see my age, will they trust me enough to even sell the house? I had those fears in my mind. So that was before joining the industry. And I must say though, one thing that has manifested from this is the mindset, personal development. I knew I was trained and taught to think in a certain way by the mentors when I was still an intern. I was taught to have a thick skin. I was taught to be resilient. I was taught to be positive, optimistic. I was taught to, not all of these things that essentially make up a mindset, a successful mindset. And they told me that if I mastered all of those things, and discipline, the most important one is discipline. If I mastered those things, I would really go far in the industry. I think that's advice I carried with me. Because had I not taken that advice, I don't think I'd still be in the industry. I wouldn't be enjoying it. And I was given an opportunity, I grabbed it with both hands and I followed that advice. And I think it has worked accordingly. When I look back at the advice I got from the top agents, as an intern and to where I am now, to offering opportunities with my business partner, by the way, offering opportunities to other individuals, to other interns, and helping them avoid all the mistakes that we made when we started. We've made a lot more mistakes. I mean, we had the recent intern we hired sold a house in 2 months, and they got commission over. Yes, I don't want to say how much they got, but that was close to a CEO salary. They had zero working experience. They had zero experience. They just came from university, and they just came through to our company and they learned all of those things. And I think that's such an honor, it's such a privilege to see the result of all your hard work and your pain and your struggle coming to fruition for others. You know, it took me 6 months to sell my first house because no one taught me how to avoid certain mistakes. No one taught me how to think in a certain way. No one taught me how to budget correctly. They just trained me on how the processes work, but no one was really there for me to mentor me in that way. And the agents that we bring in now have that privilege. They're really sitting on a gold mine. And I think it's to answer your question, what I think of now and what I think of what I was taught back then, and I tried it out and I took it very well. I took the opportunities very well, and I think that's what our agents are experiencing right now as well. So I think it's nothing I anticipated before starting. That I can tell you. I didn't think I would get this far with my business partner. I didn't think we would get into private property podcasts with you. You know, I had never anticipated that. I think that's just part of growth. Growth does come with change. You know, you need to grow. You need to change to grow. You need to grow to change. So vice versa.
Amazing. Oh my God. I'm so inspired because I'm just looking like this young man is just doing the most. But all right. So in terms of, like you said, you carried the advice that you got from your seniors when you were still an intern. For somebody that is listening to you right now, top 2 points or advice that you have for them, what would that be?
Okay. So this will be very uncomfortable. But I think it's advice that we're told on a daily basis, or it's somewhere, it's propagandized, it's, you know, it's marketed. It's uncomfortable, but it is what it is. Discipline and systems. Those are my top 2 words.
Okay.
So let me break it down. So let's start with systems because it's in conjunction, right? So you need to, whether you want to join the industry, you've joined the industry, you're already in the industry, or you're doing something else. I think this applies to every industry, in fact. If you create your own system, you have control over it. So you're able to measure it, you're able to improve it, you're able to adjust it, amend it, you're able to change it. You've got control over that system. So the moment you start creating a system, and when I say system, I'm talking about scheduling, time management systems. So I need to do 5 activities to get to the result, right? So what system can I create for myself that will cause me to do these activities to make sure that result is achieved? And that is in conjunction with discipline, because the moment you create a system and you don't follow through with it, then you lack discipline. And the moment you lack discipline, you'll never get to that end goal, that end result. So create systems, schedule it, and be a monitor. Monetize your systems. The same way you would go on social media and look at your celebrity every day, anticipating what they post, anticipating what they'll say on their caption. You need to treat your systems the same way. Your systems need to be a celebrity. In the morning, wake up, plan your day. Okay, I need to look at your system. This is what my system is required for me to achieve my day, right? To have a successful day, right? So I need to do this. I need to call. I need to send emails. I need to do follow-ups. I need to set up a social media page. I need to post pictures. That's a system that you've created. No one has created for you. So you've created it according to your own personal goals. So the moment you've created those systems, you need to make sure that you follow through with it. The difference between the most successful people, I've watched a lot of successful podcasts like Vusi Tembegwai. I'm going to talk about local guys. We know Bill Gates, we know all these guys. I'm going to talk about local guys. We've seen Vusi Tembegwayo, we've seen Sadile Shezi, we've seen Tokyo Sekfale, we've seen, there's so many successful guys out there. We've seen Rupert. We've seen every successful entrepreneur out there. And they've all mastered one thing, which is discipline. That's what makes them stand out That's what makes them different from the rest. When the not Conor McGregor, he's not a local, by the way. Floyd Mayweather is the perfect example of systems. He says when his competitors are watching television, or his competitors are spending time with their family, or his competitors are watching movies, Netflix, whatever it is that they're doing, he knows that when they're doing that, he's in the gym, he's gymming, he's boxing. I know it sounds, that's what I'm saying, it's very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable advice, but I'm going to put it out there. The reason why Floyd Mayweather has 50-0 wins is based on the fact that he's gymming while his competitors are eating.
Yeah.
That's it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that. So if the moment you take away from your systems, the moment you don't utilize your systems, and when I say systems, I mean activities. It's gymming, it's drinking water, it's eating healthy. Yeah, if you want that great body, you need to do those things. But the moment you take away from the systems, you're contradicting your goals. You're not going to get to your goals, and unfortunately, that's what makes you different from someone that's achieved those goals. Those guys did not achieve their goals by luck. Trust me.
Yeah.
There are situations where they need to think. And there are situations where they need to adapt. There are situations where they need to problem solve. So that's not luck. Yes, there can be at an advantage. You could have received inheritance from your family. I mean, anyone can receive inheritance, but the question is, what do you do with it? Do you grow it, or do you put it to waste? So yeah, no, that's definitely the advice I would give to, and this is the advice I give to my agents as well. They've seen it. We make it such a healthy environment. Monday morning, have you done these activities? Yes, I haven't. Or I mean, yes, I have. Or no, I haven't. Okay, no, you haven't. That's fine. You haven't. We're not going to fire you. We're not going to chase you out. But just realize that you've got the next 3 months coming up where you won't have money in your pocket because you haven't done these activities. Exactly. And you need to be accountable for that. Because when there's no money coming in the next 3 months, we are going to have to reconsider you. We are going to have to, because now we also in the business of cutting costs. You haven't done any activities in the past 3 months. So we need to cut our costs. And that means we need to replace you. We need to, those are the uncomfortable conversations that we have. But they work, because the moment you start having those conversations, you start seeing results from people. That's and true. You need to be your own boss as well. You need to take accountability and say, you know what, if I'm not going to get that best body, if I'm not going to get that degree in 3 years, then I need to fire myself. Because what am I doing with my life? I'm wasting time.
Yeah. You are
so
honest. So it's very uncomfortable to hear that, because now I'm reflecting on my life and the goals that I need to achieve and what I'm doing to achieve it. And it's like, girl, you need to go work. But I think that's some great solid advice you have right there. Thank you so much. But before we end it, how can our listeners get a hold of you and your services if they're interested in engaging with you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for bringing that up. So we are on website www.libertalia.co.za, and you'll have access to everything there. We have all our services, our about us. We've got all the information there. So people can access. That's the easiest to get a hold of us. We've got a contact form there as well, where people can go in and fill in their details. But if you specifically want my phone number and my contact details, my email is executive@libertalia.co.za. My phone number is 076-737-6548, and then my WhatsApp number is 061-430-9742. We're very active on social media, by the way. I should have started with that, to be honest. We're very active on social media, so just search Libertalia. We're the only Libertalia in terms of the name on social media. If you come across other names, it's probably like it's different names or different lingos or whatever. But Libertalia should be the first name that appears on our social media page, or if you just search Libertalia Real Estate, we should. I advise people to follow that page because we do post tips on a weekly basis. We post tips. We post houses, so we try to incorporate viewership as well, not just showing houses, but we show sellers tips on how to buy, how to sell, and stuff like that. So go into the website if you're interested in joining real estate. We're aiming for, like I said, 50,000 registered estate agents is a small number, right? We still need to increase that number. So we're aiming to hire at least 20,000 real estate registered agents in the next 10 years. The level of entry is very high because it's an easy job. You're just introducing people to a property and then they sign. So you don't need a PhD for that. You don't need, and it's not Forex.
Yeah.
It's not Forex. You don't need to master financial numbers. All you need to do is take people to houses to view, and if they love them, we assist you with that whole process.
All right, interesting. I'll definitely leave the details in the description box for our viewers to access that. But and also your Instagram page is the tips. I've looked at them, and I think that's why I also got some of the questions like, this is very interesting, very informative, very attractive also. It's just it's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've personally learned so much from you. Truly, I'm inspired. I don't know how many times I've said this because I'm really inspired by your growth and just what you have done, for the Black society at large. You have really shared some great insights on real estate agency, the industry, buying and selling. Above all else, thank you so much for your willingness to educate everybody that is listening. And hopefully you will get people reaching out to you to engage more with you. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me too. It's such an honor. I love talking about real estate. I would definitely hop on another one sometime soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Such amazing content was shared. I hope you guys have learned as much as I have. Thank you for tuning in, and I genuinely do appreciate it. If you'd like to engage with our guest, check out their details in the description box below, or you can send us a direct message on Instagram and we will ask your questions on your behalf. Please feel free to contact us on Instagram or via email to either recommend somebody we can interview or if you have any other suggestions. Above all else, if you have any comments or reviews, please do what needs to be done. Stay tuned and hot like the tea we're about to serve you. See you next week, Wednesday.